Welcome to Built from Love, the podcast for moms birthing businesses and babies. I'm Erin Pratt, and thank you so much for being here.
Hello, and welcome back to the Built from Love podcast. I'm so excited you're here. I can't wait to share this episode with you because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics as a mom and a female business owner. And it's going to be something that goes against the grain of what we've been told success looks like and what it takes to be successful as an entrepreneur in the early years of building a business. So, if you're a mom who's dreaming of building a business, or you're a mom who already owns a business, but the advice you've been given up until this point, while sounds great, might not actually be working for this particular season of life you're in, raising young children and trying to balance that with growing a business, this episode is for you. We're going to go against the grain of what typical advice is for entrepreneurs and dive into why that doesn't always work for moms who are trying to stay really present for their kids' lives, especially in the early years of childhood, and what we can do to redefine what success looks like and to stay motivated and inspired to continue building our businesses, but in a way that looks different, in a way that honors our feminine rhythms, in a way that doesn't require us to show up every day in the same way. I'm so excited to dive into this topic. So let's take a deep breath in and get started. I want to begin with what we've been told is required to build a successful business as an entrepreneur. So we've been told that if you are not posting every day, you will become irrelevant. We're told that more is more and to continue to build and push harder and sell and put yourself out there as much as you can. We're told that rest might be considered lazy and we must not want it bad enough if we're not willing to put in the hard work it takes to grow a business. And to be honest, these things can be true. It is a lot of work to grow a business quickly. It does require hours of hustling and networking and putting your name out there. But this is not the only path to success. And it's a question of what success even looks like while we're building the business. For me personally, I don't just want a booming business at the expense of every other area of my life. I want to be present with my kids. I want to enjoy hobbies and downtime, but I still want to contribute to our household's income. I want to pursue my passions and I want to get my message out there. There's no reason for me to put my dreams on hold for years on end while I'm raising children, but it does require a path that looks unique and different if I want to feel good while building a business that is quote unquote successful. So, what I now know is building from a place of masculine energy or hustle culture or showing up day in and day out with the same energy, like our 9 to 5 typical work schedule, is not always going to work for us. Feminine business honors timing. It honors simplicity and focus, and it provides a path to continuing to grow just in a new way. And it's not about working less, it's about working differently. So, what is feminine business? I see it as a way to honor not only our intuition, but our cyclical nature. Women's hormonal systems align with the timing of the moon. They're typically on a 28-day cycle. And so we ebb and flow with the waxing and waning of the moon. That means every single day we are different. We have a different amount of energy available to us. We are in different stages of our menstrual cycle if we are menstruating. And so this means that we might show up differently day in and day out. And that should be celebrated and honored, not pushed to the side as being inconsistent or not being committed to growth. So that means on the days that you're feeling really good, capitalize on that. And the days where you need rest, honor that. We also need masculine energy. So it's definitely not all bad. This is the energy we use to push, to be productive, to get the work done, to be direct, to set boundaries. All of these things are required as business owners. But we also need to marry that with our feminine energy. All of us have both masculine and feminine within us. But a lot of the moms and business owners I talk to are operating at a near constant level of masculine energy. This is where we're pushing, we're being productive, we're doing, and we're not in a state of rest, we're not in a state of flow, and we're not in a state of adaptability. So, I want to share a little bit about how I've structured my work week and what it looks like in my real life day to day schedule as a mom and a business owner. I typically like to confine my work days to 2 days a week. And in these days, I try to stay as focused as possible. Again, some days look different than others. And when I do feel the need to rest and honor that, I try to align the work I'm doing to honor that need for rest and for space and creativity to flourish. But I typically work on a Monday and a Friday. And on Mondays, my girls are with their grandparents. We're very blessed to have family nearby. On Fridays, my husband is off, so he takes over with the girls. They have daddy-daughter days, and I continue to get work done. In the middle chunk of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I try my best not to work. I'm attending co-op with the girls at our nature co-op. We're homeschooling. We are playing, gardening, baking, resting, cleaning, surviving, doing all the things it takes to be a mom of two little girls with another on the way. And so I do try to divide up my days as much as possible. But inevitably, there is always some spillover. So there are days where the girls get sick and I am going to be with them on my work days. And I try to push work aside as much as possible. But when you have client work and things to get done, you find a way to get them done. So this is where that feminine flow comes in to be adaptable. And no 2 days are the same. But overall, I do try to divide them up so I could be as focused on the tasks that are most important that day and try to forget the rest. And over these 3 years I've owned a business, I have come to an incredible realization, and that is you don't need full time hours to have a successful business. I experienced immense growth in just 2 days of work per week. And it's because I stayed really focused and really put all my energy into the tasks that matter most. Ideally, if you can outsource or build a team to take on other tasks, that's wonderful. But for many of us, it is just us starting in the beginning of our business. So I encourage you to identify tasks that actually move the needle forward in your business, that actually produce revenue, that build your audience, and lead to sales. And I'm going to get to those in just a moment here. But first, I want to be really honest. This all sounds great, right? It's still a ton of effort to build a feminine business. It just is a different level of effort. It is not pushing, it's not frantic, it's not always launching something new. It is about staying focused on your goals. It's about consistently and potentially slowly building your audience, sharing your message, and being really clear about the problem you solve. So over the years, you can continue to build on that momentum. I look at this phase of life as building the foundation of a business that will continue to take off and grow. I don't need to experience immense growth in year 1 or even year 3 of business because I'm simultaneously prioritizing my free time. I'm simultaneously prioritizing homeschooling my girls. And I want to also prioritize having fun and playing and working on hobbies. So my success is going to look different from what somebody at a conference might say is success as a first year business owner. So remember, stay consistent even when your growth is quiet. It's not about creating offers all the time. It's about creating a really good offer or two for a specific person that you're very passionate about helping and can actually solve that problem for them. It's about showing up for your audience and your people with a sense of integrity and authenticity. We're not building trendy businesses here. We're building businesses that are going to last and leave a legacy potentially for our children as well. And it's coming around to being comfortable with slow growth. That doesn't mean no growth, it means sustainable growth. So I want you to remember that as you compare yourself to your peers, whether they have children or not, it's really easy to feel behind or feel like you're walking backwards every time you get pregnant again. Trust me, I have felt this over and over. But getting comfortable with taking a few steps forward and maybe taking a step back to pause, to take care of yourself, to take care of your children. This is worthy, and you are still building a business that is going to be successful. It is just successful on your terms. So remember, you're not behind, you're not too late. You are in a season, and every season is going to continue to change from here. So stay the course and keep building because it's all part of life. Creating, honestly, is just fun. Creating kids, creating businesses, creating new hobbies. These are all part of life. And I encourage you to just enjoy the journey without focusing too much energy on the end goal. So, I want to give you some really tangible ways you can start to transition your mindset to a feminine style business, but a business that will earn revenue, a business that is growing at its own healthy pace. So, first, I want you to map out your real life time. Like, what time is available to you? And not in an ideal world, but in this world you're living in right now. What time do you have available to you to actually work on your business? And we're all going to be at different stages depending on the stage of motherhood we're in, depending on our support from our family, our friends, childcare, whatever that might look like for you. So it might be that you can dedicate one full day of work in the week. It might be that you only have nap times. It might be that you work after bedtime, or you might have 3 dedicated days. It's going to look different for each of us. But being really honest about the time you have and starting to build that into a schedule that works for you and your family is going to be the first step. And then I want you to get really focused on simple goals. So if you're in the process of creating your offer or creating your product, I want you to stay really simple here. And I want you to think about exactly who you're creating this for. Like, get really specific. Give this person a name, give this person a backstory, an age, a demographic, and write all of your content, your social media posts, your email marketing, all to this person. You want to get really focused on solving one problem for one particular person and get good at it. That's how you're going to make sales. That's how you're going to make a genuine connection with your audience, and they're going to be the right audience for you. And in the beginning, don't try to be on every platform all over the place. Just pick 1 or 2 platforms you think you can be consistent on and start posting as consistently as possible. Now, I just talked about how feminine flow is not quite consistent. It changes every day. And this is where I think batch working and capitalizing on the days that you do have energy, try to create within a single task. Create a series of emails for your audience. Create a series of freebies to get them opted into your email list. We'll talk about this in another episode. Create a series of social media posts or focus really on building that product if you haven't already. This is how you can capitalize on that energy and that flow state and still continue to show up consistently externally, even if you're not actually showing up every day yourself. And I want you to think about the things that matter most in building a business, and I'll give you a few ideas. So, one of the most important things that you need when you build a business is an audience. You do need people to sell to. So, if you've created this great product and spent 90% of your time on this thing, whether it's a tangible product or a digital service, and then you only spend 10% of your time actually trying to build an audience or promoting that product or service, you're not going to have anyone to sell to. So, in the beginning, it's really important to actually create content that puts yourself out there as an expert around this product or service. So, start even before you feel ready. Start talking to people. Start telling people what you're building. Start attending networking events when possible. It could also be virtual networking events. Start posting about it on your social media platforms and beginning to grow that audience. And again, it's okay if it grows slowly. I always think we are overinflating the numbers that we see on social media because if you have 300 followers and they're actually relevant followers to you, that's a lot of people to sell to. So don't get tied up in the numbers. Just focus on continuing to spread your message and building slow but sustainable growth. So once you have that audience and a great product that's going to solve a problem for them, it really is about continuing to also sell to them. I love starting at the free level of resources. So I don't do a lot of actual sales on social media, but I try to promote a lot of free value on social media, on Pinterest, through email marketing. And then as people opt into these free resources, then you know they're interested and you can potentially get them to the next stage, whether it's buying your product or some tier of a membership or a service. So start by making that connection, building that trust, and then moving that person through the journey into the products or services that will best solve their problem. And sales can be sort of an icky thing for a lot of us. It's not always the most natural thing we know is how to sell to one another. But looking at it as you can solve a problem for somebody and you have the solution in your pocket, you kind of reframe going from icky trying to get somebody to buy something from you to actually doing them a service and in exchange for money, which is a fair way to go about this world. I also really encourage you to build in some transitions into your day. This isn't always possible, and I do my best here, but it doesn't always work. So, on the days I do work, I try to build in just subtle transitions. From the moment I am parted with my girls, I try to, before opening my laptop, go for a walk, breathe for a few minutes, make a cup of coffee or tea, and just ground my energy before easing into my work mode. And then before the girls get back, whether they're with my husband or the grandparents, I try to take a few minutes to do something like unloading the dishwasher. Again, I close my laptop, maybe step outside for some fresh air. Maybe I leave a voice note for a friend. I'm easing my energy back from that work mode into mom mode and giving myself just a moment, a couple minutes to make that transition. So that's been something I find really helpful on those days where I'm able to build that in. There's some days I honestly don't build that in because I'm just so excited to get to work, but it is a really great habit that I do notice a shift in my own energy when I do take the time to make those transitions. So here's what I want you to remember. You are allowed to grow slowly. You're allowed to build in rest. You're allowed to choose both and not either or. You can begin building your business in whatever stage of motherhood you're in. You can start pursuing your dreams now and not holding them off until later. But if you're like me, you don't want to sacrifice your time spent too much with your children in these early years. And I fully believe it's possible to do both. It just means that this growth might look a little bit slower. It might look like success is defined by how you feel each day and not by how much revenue you're immediately pulling in or how fast your audience is growing. So you just have to determine what your priorities are in the season and know that in a few days, a few weeks, a few months, and definitely a year from now, you'll have a different capacity for both motherhood and business ownership. So not getting too stuck on where you are, whether you're in a challenging place or you're in a place that things are going really well. The beauty of life is that it will change. So we're here to embrace that. We're here to embrace our cyclical nature, and we're here to define what success looks like for each one of us. So, if you are looking for ideas on how to make the most of the moments you get in the margins of motherhood, I did create something called a Power Hour Task Library. So, sometimes when we do have to work on things in just small moments here and there throughout the day, it can be hard to actually make the decision on what is important to work on. So I put together a list of ideas broken down by category, both in mostly the business world, but also in ways that you can build in some rest in these small moments of time. So I will link that freebie in the show notes if you're interested in downloading that and printing it, keeping it on your desk. Thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. I hope you found it valuable and inspiring. I would love to hear where you are in the process of building your business, where you are in your motherhood journey. I would absolutely love to connect with you. So feel free to leave me a comment. You can find me on Instagram at Erin Nicole Pratt. And until next time, I know that you're doing this for all the right reasons because everything we're building, we are building from love.